Two guys in the dark.
This happened to me about 2 or 3 years ago. I was around 23 at the time. I'm a female, and I live in Romania. One night I was coming home from class. Happens to be master classes that start around 6 p.m. and end around 10 p.m. At around 11 p.m., I had to take the subway for about 12 stops. The destination that I had to get off at was at the end of the line for the subway. At that point, there wouldn't be many people in the subway. I'm a pretty lonely person. All I need is my headset and my music, and I'm good to go. Said and done. I plug in my music. I pick the furthest chair in the subway, away from the only 2 people that were taking the subway with me at that time. So far, so good. Until I see, with the corner of my eye, a silhouette approaching me and sitting right next to me. It was a man. He was fairly built, dark hair, wearing glasses, a black shirt with a black hoodie, and a sickening smile. He doesn't engage in talking with me, but would just stare at my phone as I would browse through my music. I can hear him breathing heavily, not like painfully, but still, like he was feeling something very strong. I feel uneasy, so I decide to change my seat and go even further behind, trying to avoid him without looking like a freak myself. I pick up a new chair, sit down, plug my headset again, and proceed with the remaining 6 to 12 stops on my way home. I see the silhouette growing bigger and bigger, and a breeze running on my skin as I realize the guy is again sitting right next to me, glancing in midair, dead eyes, big smile, staring right into my phone. I panic, and there are still 4 stops to go. I have nowhere to hide. I look for the other person in the subway, trying to sit right next to her, thinking that strength comes in numbers. She is no longer there. I start shaking a little bit, but not allowing the creeper to notice me being vulnerable. I stand up, go to the door, and just decide to stand until my next stop comes. This way he won't sit next to me, right? I was wrong. He comes straight after me, sits on the chair right near the door, and, because he couldn't see my phone, in which he was so focused so far, from that angle he fixates me right in the soul with his black, dead eyes, and then says, "Hi, gorgeous. Why are you avoiding me?" I'm freaking out as I look at my phone, trying to call my boyfriend, or at least message him, and he stops me by saying, "I know no one will help you. You would have sent an SOS message by now. I know you didn't." That moment that I realized I'm cornered. He's been focusing on my phone to see who I was talking to, trying to figure out if I would panic, trying to see if I would ask somebody for help. He cornered me pretty bad. I had the luck to reach my stop as I would delay any reaction or ignore him so that he would repeat whatever he wanted to say. I drop off and run for the exit, not looking back. I get out at the surface, and I don't see him anymore. At this moment, I put my phone in my purse, and I realize that I had pepper spray with me all along. My heartbeat comes back to normal, as I know at least I have something to defend myself with, but still a long way to get home, and who knows if he is alone or not. I walk rather fast for maybe 5 minutes from the metro, and I feel a hand grabbing my wrist hard and pulling me back. Another hand covering my mouth, disabling me from screaming my lungs out. It was him, the same black hoodie, dark hair, and dead eyes. He was furious and said, running from me, "How dare you run away from me? You should be honored that I give you my attention." I'm fairly built for a woman, about 80 kilograms, and 1.75 meters tall. So I guess he thought men don't find me beautiful, or something, and should be blessed that a creep like him stalks me and tries to hurt me. Now my phone is in my bag. I can't call the police. I can't reach for the pepper spray. I panic. I can't punch him in the crotch. I can't scratch him, as I don't have long nails. His hand is still on my mouth. What do? I did the most desperate and disgusting thing that I could think of, just to save my life. I played along. I used my other hand to touch the inside of his thigh and mumble, "I'm sorry," while his hand happens to be on my mouth. He took his hand off of my mouth, and I repeated that I'm sorry. I didn't realize that he was just flirting. He left his guard down and took his hand off of my wrist. He asked me for my phone number and address to drop me off, but I refused, saying that I'd rather add him on Facebook, and he agreed. I told him that I had reached for my phone, but instead I picked up the pepper spray and got him all over the face. I made sure that I would cover both his eyes, his nose, mouth, even his ears and his hands. He instantly got all red, suffocating from the pepper spray and swelling. I called the police, told them what happened and what I did. They asked me if he is immobilized, and I said yes, as the effects were off in about 45 minutes. The police arrived there about 5 minutes later to see me shaking like a leaf, and a man on the ground, swollen like a pumpkin, throwing up, and swearing me between gasps of breath. He was arrested, and the police told me that they had been looking for him for the past week, as they discovered the body of a 24-year-old woman in his apartment. Fairly built lady. Around my build, red hair. I have red hair as well. The woman was his girlfriend, and ever since, he's never gotten back to the apartment. I do not know what he wanted to do with me. I can understand why he targeted me due to the similarities. But, stranger in the subway stalking women at midnight, trying to befriend them, or even worse, probably murder them. I hope to God that you and I don't ever see each other again. This story happened when I was 12 years old. I'm a female and 25 now. The story that I'm about to tell you, it might not be scary to most, but for me and my parents, it was. I remember it was a Saturday night. It was around 9 or 10 p.m. during summertime. I owned one dog at the time, and his name was Benny. My parents decided that night that they would feel like going for a walk around the block, walking Benny, and asked me whether I wanted to join them or not. I told them no, because I wanted to play PWI on my PC, Perfect World International. My parents were okay with leaving me alone since the walk wouldn't take any longer than 30 minutes. As my parents would get dressed to leave the house, I logged in, looked around in my guild and global chat to see if anyone I knew was on. For some reason, no one was, so I decided to join my parents. I get dressed, I put Benny on his leash, and we all leave. I like to mention that I lived in an apartment building that had 10 floors, and we lived on the very first floor. Basically, you enter the building, and already are facing the apartments. I lived in the very first one. I remember always hating that, because whoever would pass by our door, we would hear them, at any time of the day or night. Whoever was lurking at night, we could hear them. It was somewhat eerie to live on the first floor. Anyways, we leave the house. My dad closes the door. We had 3 keyholes and a steel bar that would lock the door from the inside. Precautions were my father's obsession. We exit the building and enjoy our walk. After about 15 minutes, we realize that the wind has changed from warm summer wind to incoming storm wind. My mom makes the call to go back home as Benny already did all of his duties. So we all return. We open up the building door, climb the 5 stairs to our door, and attempt to open it. My father does the following: unlocks the first 3 locks, and then attempts to unlock the metal bar that holds the door locked. At that moment, my father pauses, turns around at us with the most serious face that I've ever seen on him, and whispers to us to call the police and ring the neighbor's door. My mom goes to the second apartment, and the neighbor, who I will call Ted, comes out asking my father what has happened. My dad whispered to him, covering the see-through hole of the door, "Someone happens to be in our house. He or they are holding the door. Please stay here with my family and attempt to open it. I'll be right back." After saying that, I see my father rush all by himself around the building, in the dark. I say dark because we didn't have a street light on the side of our apartment facing the block garden. My dad disappears into the darkness. I go outside, trying not to follow him too much, but only to hear if he's in trouble. He's my dad. Please don't judge me. As soon as I get out, I hear him shout, "Hey, you! Come back! Who the hell do you think you are? I called the police." At the same time I hear him shout, I look at Ted, who manages to open up the door, and then enter the house. I go after them and enter my house. It no longer felt like my house. In just 15 minutes while we were walking, the home invaders made a complete mess of our house. All of our shelves and wardrobes were pulled out. Our clothes were scattered all over the house. Benny's dry food was all over the floor, indicating they must have tripped in his bowls, probably not knowing that we had owned a dog. What scared me the most was how organized they were. I say they, because after seeing the disaster that was left behind, we knew that it was impossible for just one person to hold that door, steal, and organize what they would want to take with them. I say organized because the thieves put in our living room, all packed and ready, what they wanted, but they couldn't steal anything. On the couch they placed our laptops, one of our TVs, my father's collections of coins, our phones, chargers, wallets, and even my father's camera. He's a photographer, and that week we had to attend a wedding. They didn't have enough time to steal all of that, so they just settled with some of my mother's jewelry and some pocket money. After seeing this, in my silly child mind, I rushed to my room to check my piggy bank. I always saved up money from whatever chores I did. It wasn't very much, but it was my work and savings, and at that time I thought that they stole it too. When I enter my room, I see the metal bars covering my windows were cut open, and my window was broken. This is how they happened to enter, through my room. My room is the only room facing the side of the buildings, and the one most secluded from the view. Needless to say, I never felt safe in my own room, in which I had to live for the next 10 years of my life, until I moved in with my fiancée. The police arrive. They start throwing white dust, I have no idea what it is, still, all over our house to find fingerprints. They take pictures, take our statements, analyze my room and the window. They were unable to catch the home invaders, but were able to tell us that this invasion was not the only one in our neighborhood. During that month, another 4 houses were broken into, one of them being the home of a cop, not related to the cops at our house, of course. They told us that the invaders analyzed their victims, learned their schedule, even knew where the children's rooms were, as they seemed to be entering the house through the children's windows. All the families affected by them happened to have children. They did not expect us to be back that soon, and panicked. The person after which my dad was shouting was probably the one holding the door, and escaped last through the broken window. I don't know what could have happened if I didn't change my mind and give up on raiding for gears and PWI. I would probably have come face to face with those invaders. I'm happy that I didn't, and I hope to God that I never meet them, period. I have been staying in this house for some time now. I grew up here, so I know every nook and cranny of this house. My parents moved out a while ago, leaving me here to take care of the place, I assume. They didn't say anything to me. They just packed their stuff and left. I guess they rented out from time to time, as I've seen many people come and go. Some were cool, some were assholes, but all in all, it hasn't been that bad. I stay in the attic. I turned it into a bedroom a while back. It's a little cramped, but how much space does a guy like me really need? Sometimes when I'm bored, I like to sit up there and reflect on some of the people I've come in contact with during their stay here. Like the businessman, Mr. Reynolds. He was cool, mid-30s, ladies' man. Kept this place looking sharp. For the ladies, of course. He was always talking to some Chinese guy on what he calls his laptop. I don't really know what that is. Then one day he just disappeared. Some people came and took his stuff shortly after that. I wonder what happened to him. Anyway, then there were what I like to call, for a lack of a better term, the high guys. 2 stoner buddies that like to sit around all day, drink beer, play video games, and get stoned. Who am I to judge anyone? To each their own. But they trashed this place. I can't have that. I tried everything I could to get them out of here, but they were so high most of the time they thought that I was a hallucination and laughed it off. I stayed in my room the day the cops came to the house to take them away. Who's laughing now, douchebags? There's been many families moving in and out. None of them really stayed too long. Moms and dads with a couple of kids. Sometimes just mom and kids. Sometimes just the dad. Aside from a few screaming matches and the sound of lovemaking on occasion, we all seemed to pretty well get along. I really enjoyed playing with the kids, though. They're so much fun. Playing hide and seek, duck, duck, goose, games like that. It made me feel alive. I really missed those kids. But now there's Susan. She moved in about 6 months ago. Susan is amazing. She's single with no kids, though she does have a cat, Oscar. Oscar doesn't like me at all. Every time I come into the room, he stands up, curls his back, and hisses at me, like he's ready to attack. I don't want any trouble, so I just leave him alone. Susan goes to work early every morning and doesn't return till late at night, sometimes after dark. I don't know exactly what she does for a living, but I'm sure I will find out eventually. She spends most of her days off just watching Hallmark movies and eating lots of ice cream. I don't understand why, but as pretty as she is, she can do whatever she likes. Susan is about 5'4" tall, late 20s, maybe early 30s, with beautiful long brown hair, these amazing green eyes, and a voice like an angel. It doesn't hurt that she's chunky in all the right places either. No disrespect to any of the ladies reading this. Susan may be the most beautiful woman I have seen in a long time, but her housekeeping skills have a lot to be desired. It's not that she's a slob or anything. It's just that she doesn't clean up after herself very well. So on occasion, while she's at work, just to help out, I'll pick up the cups and dishes from around the house and put them in the sink. Pick up her clothes. I don't know what kind of perfume she uses, but damn does it smell good. Anyway, I will put her clothes on the hamper, sweep the floor, turn the lights out, things like that. Nothing real major, just the basics. It always makes me feel happy to see the smile on her face when she comes home and sees the house is straightened up. She just stands there smiling. She always says, "Thank you. Anything for you, Susan. Anything." I'm so taken by Susan that sometimes at night I like to go stand at her bedroom door and just watch her sleep. She looks so peaceful. I would like nothing more than to lay beside her with my arms around her waist and just hold her. Maybe someday. I know it's only been a little while, but I think that I'm falling in love with her. I want to tell her how I feel. I want to show her. I think I'll do it tonight when she gets home. What's that? Some kind of folder on the table? HPRC, Hamilton Paranormal Research Center. Case file number 137. Paranormal? I've never seen this before. She must have left it behind when she left for work today. I'll just take a peek at it. Hey, that's a picture of Susan. What does it say underneath? Lead investigator? Wow, that sounds important. Here's a letter. I can barely read the writing. I hereby give my permission to any member of the HPRC to live in my residence for the sole purpose of obtaining evidence of paranormal activity within and assist in removal of said activity. I can't read the signature, but there's that word again. There's more. A newspaper clipping from 1974. What does it say? Yesterday, the only son, Michael, age 17, of respected banker William Bernard and his wife, Emily, found dead in an apparent accidental fall from the attic door to the hallway below. The cause of death was a broken neck. The incident occurred in their own home located at 19th Chestnut Street. Wait a minute. That's my name, and that's my address. Those are my parents. What, I'm dead? I can't be. I can see, I can feel, I can touch. I remember the fall. I remember getting up. I remember my mother coming up to the stairs crying because I fell. Wait, she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the dead me on the floor. I remember now. The two men in suits coming over and taking my body away. All my relatives coming over a few days later, dressed in black, crying, talking about I was too young to go. Go where exactly? I didn't understand it then. I didn't go anywhere, but I understand now. That explains everything. Why Mr. Reynolds never answered me when I talked to him. He couldn't see me. He couldn't hear me. Why the stoners thought I was a hallucination, because in their altered state of mind, they could see me, just thought they were imagining it. Why the parents of the children could always ask their kids, "Who are you talking to?" then scream at me to leave their kids alone. They couldn't see me either. Why her cat hates me so much. It's why my parents just up and left one day. I thought they left me the house. Come to think of it, I haven't seen them in years. And why Susan was always smiling when I cleaned up. It wasn't because I did it. She was looking for evidence of my existence. She wants to get rid of me. I don't want to leave, though. I like it here. This is my house. I'm not leaving without a fight. She wants evidence. I'll give her evidence. I really loved her. I helped her. I even tolerated her damn cat. Well, screw all that. I've been nice so far, but after this, no more Mr. Nice Guy. She should be home soon. I'll be waiting right here, so when she comes to the door, game on. What you're about to hear is a dramatized audio translation of the events that occurred on July 25th of 2018, starting at approximately 9:08 p.m. and ended at approximately 9:27. This translation was taken from video footage, cameras, and audio microphones placed in the living area, kitchen, upstairs hallway, and master bathroom of the house. Translation goes as follows. 9:08. Susan Meyer, former lead investigator of the Hamilton Paranormal Research Center, arrives at the home and enters through the front door. 9:09. A folder sitting on the coffee table begins to shake and eventually takes flight in the direction of Miss Meyer, striking her between the eyes, causing a small cut in her skin and tiny droplets of blood to flow down her face. 9:10. A large cabinet on her right seems to move out by itself, about 3 inches from the wall, and crash to the floor in front of her, pinning her between it and the front door, at which time Mrs. Meyer screams, "Michael, why are you doing this?" 9:11 p.m. A low humming sound is heard. The volume intensifies and forms into what appears to be a voice saying, "This is my house." 9:12. All lights under surveillance start turning on and off by themselves. Doors opening and closing repeatedly. The front door opens so hard that it strikes Mrs. Meyer in the back, knocking her over the broken cabinet and onto the floor, dropping her purse in the process. 9:13. What appears to be a strong gust of wind blows through the living area, so hard that it knocks over a table lamp and several knickknacks off the shelves, sending them crashing to the floor below. 9:15. From the floor, Miss Meyer screams, "Michael, stop. I know this is your house. I know. Just stop." 9:16. A small cat enters the frame from the bottom left corner of the screen and immediately flies backwards off the screen. The sound of it hitting the wall and scurrying away is heard soon after. 9:18. All activity stops. She stands there, grabbing the purse, and says, "Michael, listen to me. I know you're mad. I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. I quit my job today to be with you. I want to be with you. Here, in this house." 9:21 p.m. What appears to be a large mass of black fog appears on the camera, forming into what looks like a person. 9:22. Staring directly into the fog, Miss Meyer says, "Michael, I can finally see you. I love you. I love everything you do for me. And now we'll always be together." 9:24 p.m. Reaching into her purse, Miss Meyer produces a small handgun and places it to her temple. 9:25. All video surveillance cameras shut down and lose signal. Only the audio remains. 9:26. One single gunshot is heard, then the sound of something heavy hitting the floor. 9:27. All transmissions are lost. The body of Susan was found dead after a neighbor called 911 to report what sounded like a gunshot. Officers arrived on the scene to find the house in disarray, and Mrs. Meyer's bloody corpse lying on the floor in the living area, the victim of an apparent suicide. The body was taken to the county morgue, where cause of death was confirmed. The results for case 137 are as follows. The home is believed to be completely consumed by a malevolent, evil spirit. Any further investigation may result in injury and/or death, especially of another member of this organization. I will not take that risk. Case 137 is now closed and will never be spoke of again. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.